Going to call the July 17, 2025 Board of Directors meeting of the Fort Wayne Public Transportation Corporation to order. Start with the roll call of members. All members are present except for Kyle Miller. Next item is going to be the adoption of the agenda. I would accept a motion to do so.
Make that motion.
Second. Oh, yeah, we have one additional item, so I'm going to do that first. Thanks for John. I have it down. I forgot. Under item 9, new business, we do have a C that we're adding, which would be to authorize free fair Saturdays, I believe, for the holiday season. So I would accept a motion to.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda as stated.
Okay. Second. A motion by Paul, a second by Nelson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify so by saying aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. I'll show you it's adopted. Next is the reading, correcting, and approval of minutes from the previous meetings. One thing I brought up with Dr. Felicia, and she is going to check out. I noticed, and this could be, but I noticed from the last meeting, I was not here. It shows that Sharice made a motion to accept the agenda, I think, which I found unusual as the chair.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't know if that was
True.
truly,
Let me see what
or if it was just a carryover, maybe.
I missed that. It's chair.
I didn't think so, but you know.
I didn't have that. I didn't have anything under the adoption agenda. I had just the minutes.
Or minutes, it was minutes, maybe, approval of minutes. That's what it was.
So I had that Paul made the motion and Kyle.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Second.
There was a motion by Paul, a second by Raleigh. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor of adopting the minutes as corrected, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Next item is board committee reports. We have the executive governance committee. We did not meet since the last board meeting, and the next meeting is on September 10th. External stakeholder relations.
We have not met, but I know we are setting up, we have a meeting. 2 weeks. I know John has made a couple meetings or had a couple meetings legislative, so.
Yeah, I still need to get regular calls with the Angry Drinker on our calendars. So that's something we want to pick up again.
Performance oversight and monitoring, Nelson.
Recent meetings, the next meeting is.
And planning and development committee, Sharice.
Our next meeting is on July 23rd.
Transit planning committee, John.
No meeting. Next schedule is August 11th.
We've had a flurry of committee activity the last month there. General manager, CEO report, John.
So, hello, everybody. I have a written report of the packet as usual. Just a few additional items to cover tonight. We'll keep covering. Last week, Latasha and I met with City Controller Pat Rolfer and our staff to discuss our financial performance so far this year and our plan for budgeting for 2026. It was a really positive meeting. The city does a good job of working with us and putting our budget together. This year has been especially good to see the collaboration that's happening with City Council and the Mayor's office and the Controller's office. And thank you, Councilwoman, for your help in that as well. The city is really coming together to engage and help us with our budget. We also spoke at length when I met with the Controller about the city's reserve policy. What are they doing? What's their policy for holding funds in reserve? And working on how we could potentially align our rainy day fund with that same policy. And so at some point in the future, maybe next month, I'd like to bring a resolution to the board that clarifies the purpose of those funds and also sets policy limits on minimum and maximum funds to be held. That's everything that I have in my report this month.
Any questions for John at all? Next item, we have the CFO controller report, Natasha.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. So as usual, I'll give you a brief summary of the report that's in the packet for June 2025. We did continue to operate within the budget, and our net earnings before budgeted items was positive. Our total expenses were about 7% less than the budget. The total budget was $9.9 million. And when we look at our, looking at it compared to the prior year, we were, I'm sorry. We were higher than the prior year by about 3.7%, and we have to continue reasoning for those increased costs, our wages and fringes, our purchase transportation, and our higher corporate insurance, which was offset by decreased vehicle repairs and fuel and professional expenses this year. In regards to the revenue, our revenue was slightly short of the budget at $9.76 billion. And that is primarily due to not as much capital spending this year as we expected. So we're not pulling as much federal dollars. But we are doing very well on our operating revenue. We're about 10% higher than the prior year. That's due to the Parkview contract and increased paratransit ridership. Even though it looks like our fixed route ridership is declining a little bit for this month. I think that was mentioned in the packet. In regards to comparing it to the budget, our revenues were still 6% short of the budget. And that's just because we're expecting the lower capital and the lower use of the cash reserves than we expected. In regards to the local contribution to capital, as I already mentioned, we're less spending, so we only had about $182,000 compared to a budget of $553,000. And the CAT and BL project is still ongoing. Do have this mini bus application, so we're actually at that, we'll hopefully be starting some kind of next year. So, cash position, we are just slightly down from the prior month, just normal business activity, we are $6.4 million. So at this time, I'll entertain any questions. We have the record of transmittal as well. And we do have the first.
Hold on.
Oh, disconnected.
Did we go offline? No.
Good now? Okay. All right. So the first part of July is in your, should have got a packet or packet from Dr. Felicia, and then the record transmittal for June in the packet.
I'll make a motion to approve the records of transmittal for June and the interim record of transmittals for July. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Paul, and a second by Melissa. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the record of transmittals for June 2025 and the interim record from 7/1 to 7/18/25, please signify so by saying aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Show that as adopted. Thank you. Approved. Thank you very much. Next item is the introduction and adoption of resolutions and ordinances. We have, we talked about this last month and we had some timing issues, I think, on the legislation. So discussing again the resolution R 2025-4 authorizing regional van pool program. John.
We need to change the adopted this 26th day of June to today's date.
Yeah, this was tabled last month. We discussed, what it's really doing is preparing us to be able to go to city council and to the county to expand our territory for the purpose of operating van pool. We tabled it because the law that allows us to do that was not law yet, but it is now.
Make a motion to approve this resolution, but we will need to change the date at the bottom to July, today's July 17th.
Second.
Motion by Fawn and a second by Sharice to approve the authorized resolution as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor of adopting the regional van pool program resolution as amended, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Okay. Shows that is adopted. Thank you. Old business, item 8, we have operating and capital budget planning discussion. We have Natasha and John.
Tasha is finalizing the draft budget and has some updates to share with you on where it's coming. Latasha, go ahead and kick this off for us.
I know John told me that the city is expecting us to take this $500,000 contribution. So what I've been working on is 2 versions of the budget without the contribution. So I would definitely have to go back to the drawing board to see how that works. But the version that I was creating was, one, if we retain the access services and did not outsource it. And then the other version was if we actually outsource the access services. So those 2 versions, I was able to get it to balance for 2026. Now, the retaining the access services would require us to use operating reserves or the rainy day fund of some sort, but we can't get it to balance. The other one with outsourcing, we did not have to use that, those reserves that we had. But in both versions, what I'm seeing currently with the information that I have, as far as expected revenues and expenses, we still would be facing some kind of deficit in 2029 and 30 in either version. So it's still going to be some issue coming down the road, regardless of the choice that we make on those 2 options. I know with the city contribution, there is some strings attached. I don't know if that was already discussed, that they would like to keep.
Yeah, it's not something we should share publicly, but that's something we can talk about.
Yeah.
Before we need your guidance, and so we'll reach back to you all.
Yeah, there are some strings attached to that, and was one of the reasons why we did not include it in the versions that I'm developing to be shown and draft to the committee. I think the committee will be next month, can't remember the exact date. But so there is some things there. I mean, the current versions I have, we do have some cost of living adjustment included in both versions. As far as we are including, there were some recent service improvements that operations Pam and Mag have been working on. So those have been included, and those committee will be able to look at the rest of the assumptions that I have included in there. But we are still just trying to confirm our property tax amounts and other things like that, private ridership, past recent trends in ridership, but I'm a little unsure about where the fixed route is going. But it is getting very close to in a very good draft. for both.
So I'll just add that Latasha's doing a great job. He's very thoughtful and willing to truly build the budget up versus more of this top-down view. And there are a lot of moving pieces this year. And so thank you for being so flexible. We continue to work on it. We'll be bringing a first draft to the Planning and Development Committee next week. And we can give you a preview of that. That might be a good place to have a discussion about some of the expectations. And so we'll put that on the agenda as well.
So, Sarah. Okay, new business, discuss the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne donor advice funds.
Good evening. John provided a bit of a written summary in his report this month. But this was added back to the strategic plan this year. Mostly because we had access to some sponsorship opportunities last year that I think could be amplified if we're able to get tax write-offs. But since then, we found an even greater need for it through this on-demand service and trying to find the local match dollars. So just to brief recap, a couple of years ago, this was a strategic priority that we dropped because it was more future focused, but now there's a more immediate need for it. We believe this is the best way to go because it doesn't require second board oversight, any of that, because that is all included in the community foundation. So this would be a donor advised fund through the community foundation. It would allow us to provide tax deductible contributions or to give the tax write-off for the contributions. This fund requires a $10,000 initial investment. I'm very excited to share that Easter Seals is going to give that $10,000 seed investment. It's going to be community focused, but it is Citilink. So it won't be named Citilink, it'll have a community name. And that's why Easter Seals was okay with making that initial investment through their grant they've received from GM. To our knowledge, we've been told this hasn't been done before. At least in the transit space, so that's kind of exciting. The immediate opportunities that we see are the local match for the on-demand service, and then being able to provide those tax write-offs. Some things that we're still working through or trying to, we know that there's added oversight and internal controls from the community foundation, but we'll need to work with our board to learn what you have as expectations. For example, do we provide quarterly reporting to you so that you have an idea of what is happening within the fund? We're still, it's basically treated, it was described as a charitable checking account, essentially. So what we'll be able, there will be funding that shows up on our line item when we draw it from there to basically cover expenses. So for example, we have an event in September, and we are hopeful that this will be in place by then so we could give tax write-offs for sponsorships. So we'll be able to use the money from the sponsorships to pay for the venue. And so you'll see the money coming from the community foundation to cover the costs that we've paid out. See if I'm missing anything.
So are we going to, instead of having them write the check, we're going to request the fund come to us? How are you planning on completing or using? Because they charge per transaction.
So their charge is, from what I understand, it is annual. A 2% gifted out or $500 annual minimum fee, whichever is more. So I think based on what we understand, it happens annually. But those are things that we've had the initial meeting and we wanted to bring it forward to the board. And then we have the application. So we wanted to work through that and with the understanding of what the board had questions about. So, Latasha, do you have anything that am I missing anything from your perspective?
Did that answer your question?
So I looked into doing something when we were dealing with the casino, and that was not how I understood it, so I was just.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a quarterly or annual, how they determine that 2%. I can't remember exactly how she said it offhand. But it's 2% of the withdrawals that we would make on it. So people would donate to the fund, if they would send out the text. Hey, this is tax, they'll do all the admin, send the letter out, you donated. And then when we're ready, if we want to pull money out, I think that's when maybe they will be tracking how much money we pull out to determine that 2%. So that answer the question?
Yeah, so are we going to pay those fees out of what's in the account, or is that something that
Yes.
you're?
Yes, I will be expecting that, yes.
Yes. And from what I understand, there's lots of different ways the fund can be set up. And so we've had a few conversations with them on the ways that we expect to use it. And this is the advice they've given us for the best fund to.
And that's also something that I do want the board to develop something like we have for like the rainy day fund, as far as the uses and what we can use the money for. Give some context around it. And maybe that's one thing we want to put in there that, use it for the fees, use it for operation, use it for capital needs, those things. And what level of reporting that you all want from us on it.
The other thing that this gives us the capacity to do is actually fundraise and go out without asking for sponsorships, but we put a donate button on our website and people could just give directly to the fund. So I think that there's opportunity in small amounts to raise funds without a lot of effort on our end, especially through the coalition. So I think the two biggest things we need to understand are how you would like reporting to lay out, and then we need a policy on usage and the ways in which you would expect us to use the funds.
I think they have a form that lays out everything that's needed, because
Yeah.
and so there has to be some sort of vision and who's going to be the final approval of it.
Can I make a suggestion that we assign this to one of the committees, either planning and development, or I think it probably belongs in planning and development more than performance oversight, and to kind of provide some recommendations to the full board. I feel like that might be a good place to kind of hash out some of that stuff and then bring it for discussion at a full board meeting. And then I guess I don't understand what you mean by a local match for on-demand service. I don't understand that.
So for the on-demand service that we put a grant in for, we will need $529,000 in local match. So we're hoping to gain employer sponsorships that we can then give tax write-offs
So
for.
this is new on-demand service?
This is the grant that we put in for on-demand service in South Fort Wayne.
Oh,
Pilot project.
okay, thank you. I got you now. I just wasn't sure what you meant by that. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's, I don't know if we need a vote to send it to planning and development, or if it could just be a consensus, but that would be my recommendation. It's just a lot for each group to discuss right now.
Do you have to maintain a minimum of 10,000?
Yes.
So in order to pay the fee,
We'll have to do some fundraising.
500.
They only assess fees when you take the money out.
Well, they don't have a fee just for maintaining the account.
The fee to maintain the account is that's how they collect their fees is when you, because that's what we did for the bicentennial is we created I forget what they name it, but it's essentially a fund there, and they maintain it based on what the payout is when we take money out. That 2% is what they.
Okay.
I think ours
It's
was
2% or 500, but there isn't a base annual fee for just having the account.
I thought that was $500.
Whichever is greater.
Yeah, whichever is greater.
Essentially, it's 500 unless you raise a lot more, or unless you're pulling a lot more money out, then it's 500.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Thanks.
So why don't we do that then? I think we'll need a vote either, why don't we just, the planning Development Committee could be working on that and bring a recommendation back with parameters and all things. She's talked about that, but we kind of have a more concise thing to present to the board. We can hash through all the issues in addition to all, but thanks for all the work you've done.
I'll make a second. Are we making a motion? I'll make that
Now, you
motion.
can make a motion for all two.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Fawn, a second by Sharice. Any further discussion? Name now, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify so by saying aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Yeah, thank you. Always gotta vote against their own motion here. So we'll show that, refer to that committee and look for reports sometime in the near future. Thank you very much. Next item is the update on RFP 2025 one paratransit and microtransit service. John.
Thank you. I added this to the agenda only because our RFP, which was publicly available, indicated the timeframe for a contract award could possibly have a contract award on today's meeting. So obviously that's way too fast of a timeframe. But I wanted to provide an update in a public meeting and also get this item on our agenda in a public square. Because I think we would be very interested to hear from the community if there are thoughts, interests on how paratransit should be operated. And so just thought to say that in a public space and invite the community to share with us their ideas. We're still working on the procurement. We're in talks with the union, and so we'll have more information to share as we progress. That's all I have.
And then item C, the addition to the agenda, the authorized free fair Saturdays case.
So we're bringing this to you a little earlier with hopes that we can raise sponsorship dollars for it. So our request would be that the board could authorize 4 free fair days. I'll list the dates in a moment, but authorize it only should sponsorship dollars be realized. So the dates are November 29th, December 6th, 13th, and 20th. So, and we are hoping to plan a community event with a fundraiser with a local nonprofit on one of these free fair Saturdays and create a Polar Express event possibly. So I think if we could create some free fare to allow people to get there, that would be wonderful.
Does that, we have to have the motion, a threshold of what that cost is that per, how does that go down the path? Or we just,
Well, I feel like if it's predicated on them finding sponsorship dollars to cover the full cost, so I would say as a board, if you
Yeah,
find,
cost,
if you find the money, then I'm.
or maybe even more than the full cost.
yeah, I guess we can say full cost. I just didn't know what the, if there's a number. Yeah, we just say the full cost and you wouldn't know what that would be once when you're working on it, I'm assuming. So we probably don't need to put a number in there.
Sure.
I did, and I will again, so moved that we
Second.
allow that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Sharice, a second by Fawn to authorize the free fair Saturdays for those dates listed previously, November 29th, December 6th, 13th, and 20th. Any further discussion?
Question, how much did we invest in that last year?
I was just trying to remember that, and I think we got 5,000 from Ambassador and 2,500 from downtown Fort Wayne, I think.
And so we didn't put in,
No, none of our money covered, the sponsorship covered all of the fares we would have received then.
oh, so $7,500 at least, but that doesn't include the event.
I need to work with Latasha and figure out the new number for this year that we need to cover in case it's changed from last year with ridership growth or decrease. So I haven't gotten that far in it, but I won't move forward with free fare unless we have the money to cover those. Would be my runner.
Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call a question. All those to the favor, we signify so by saying aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Okay. Casey, you can have at it. Next item, communications from the public. I understand there isn't, correct? Board of Directors, open discussion. Anyone have anything to bring to the attention of the assembly here.
So I'll just say I'm really proud of the leadership and the board for all of the work that has been going on behind the scenes with council and the administration, just really trying to work on this deficit and just ensure a great future for Citilink and for our community. So thank you all so much for everything.
I'll echo that sentiment. So I think we all echo that sentiment. Anything else?
I don't want to call out Rashida, but I invited Rashida to come to the meeting today. She is an intern with our Department of Neighborhoods and so she's here today just to hang out with us and see how the meeting works. And so I felt like I should, if you all were wondering. She's great.
Anything else? Okay. I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much.